Good evening, my name is Adam Denny and I am completing my portion of this assignment on the video about Carl Rogers and the book club. The reason I decided to use the video is because I feel a little bit more comfortable speaking and discussing kind of my opinion or my view of Carl Rogers and the person-centered approach to therapy. As we go through, I'll answer each question and elaborate a little bit more on how I view the different readings as well as the videos that we were expected to complete for this assignment. Our first question is, what are some of the biggest takeaways that we have gotten or that we have learned from Carl Rogers' writings? And the biggest thing that I took away was kind of the way that he wrote, the style that Carl Rogers wrote. In the article that we read, it was very interesting to get the sense of how he doesn't even take the role of an expert in his writing. He spoke very much from his own experience, and he called for others to question that, or he called for others to look into and do more research if they didn't feel that his opinion was valid. And I think that that was just such an amazing thing to understand, that not only does he do that in counseling, but he also does that in the way that he analyzes and writes. And you can see that it would be important, if you were going to take on that approach, to be able to do it throughout your professional writing, the way that you interact in counseling. It can't just be when you walk in from the first second to counseling to the end. Person-centered, humanistic approach to counseling has to be almost embedded in you. It's got to be something that you believe in as a value, and it's something that you strongly adhere to in your everyday interactions with individuals. And I really found that was interesting that he even wrote that way. But naturally, that seems logical. The second question is, how will this theory in the future, how will we use this theory in the future with our clients? And I know that when we completed our theoretical foundation, or our theoretical approach for one of our classes, I kind of, focused on person-centered counseling and career counseling, or person-centered counseling and humanistic, because of my background in special education, and it's one of the ideals and values that we rely heavily on in that field in education. But it's become a little bit more of again, a deeper value, and I think that it would be unjust to our clients if we didn't appreciate them for who they are and the things that make them up as individuals and the uniqueness. And I think that taking some of those core values that Rogers focuses on, with empathy and support and being in the moment, I think it's fascinating to see how that is essential in almost all areas of counseling, and to be able to see that has been translated in some form kind of speaks loudly about what the essential characteristics of what Carl Rogers was able to kind of express. I also, in the counseling aspect, feel that the only way to build rapport, which is again something that we have to focus on as counselors, is to be in the moment and is to respect the individuals. And I don't think it's possible for us to fully understand and respect some of the things that our clients will come into counseling for without experiencing it. But I think that we can show that we respect that and that we can appreciate that. And even if we can't relate to that level, we can relate to them as human beings, dealing with some struggles that we may not, but essentially we're here together. So that's the way that I would try to add person-centered counseling or humanistic approach to what I would do with clients. The third question is, what in the Gloria tapes did you notice that was consistent? And if you watch the videos, and I watched them a few times, you can really see how Carl Rogers never gave a directive. And this again goes back to the expert, where he never gave an answer to all those questions that Gloria was looking for. He never broke down on that person-centered approach. He stuck very much to the values and the essential key components of person-centered throughout the videos, and I just thought that was again, if you're a person that's going to take that on as part of your theory or theoretical thing, it's got to be embedded in you. And you could see that as you watch the videos that Carl Rogers was very, very intense in the moment. And, I thought it was fascinating at the end how, even though Carl Rogers said that there weren't too many things that he thought were abnormal about the interview, and then he went into the analytical aspect of counseling, where he realizes that a lot of people look at person-centered counseling as not having a lot of research and provides validity with quantitative background, but he is able to analyze and provide feedback with with so much intensity and so much detail, even though he didn't seem like he was taking that all in. It's kind of hard for me to explain, but basically the way that I took it is that even though he was very much in the moment, he wasn't taking notes, but he still was reflecting and working on it, which again kind of shows just how much he takes that in the moment part of person-centered counseling into his own skills. The last question is, do you believe that the core conditions are necessary or sufficient for change? Although I believe very much that person-centered counseling can help and assist clients in change, I think that they were absolutely necessary, but I'm not sure if they're sufficient. It's one of the reasons that I think Carl Rogers asks or poses so many questions to other scholars or educators in the field, or affiliates in the field, is because I think he wants others to come in and be able to create that strong foundation of research and reliability that he has been unable to do, because there is not a whole lot of scales and data. It's more of an experience for him. So I don't think that necessarily it's sufficient, but I absolutely think that it's imperative to work with clients and focus on those things that he addresses in the paper. I think that each one of them, again, is important, but it just doesn't seem as though it would be enough, at least in, I think, today's kind of changing world of what's coming into counseling and what individuals are dealing with. So, to close out, I really enjoyed this assignment. I've watched the videos a couple of times for different classes, but it's different when you have to analyze them and then speak about it. So, it was just so interesting to see how that writing is fluent and how his approach is fluent through his entire life. And again, just to touch on it one more time, I think that for a person to be able to utilize this approach and be effective, that is instrumental. So, I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great evening.